Hello, wild people. Is taking a dog on a long-distance backpacking trip a good idea? Well, Bern, what do you think? Thank you for tuning in to AK Wild One. Today I'd like to talk to you about 15 tips for backpackers who are planning to take their dog on a long-distance hike. This past summer we decided to take our husky Bern along as we set out to complete the last 650 miles of the Pacific Crest Trail, which included all of Oregon, 150 miles of Northern California, and the last 30 miles of Washington to the Canadian border. We learned a lot about the benefits and challenges of backpacking with a dog, so I'd like to share these 15 tips to ensure a better backpacking trip with your dog. At the risk of sounding too dogmatic, sorry about that, most of what I have to say comes from direct experience. A few words about Bern. Bern, our dog, our husky, is 7 years old, and she's a retired Iditarod sled dog husky. She was a lead dog. We adopted her from a musher about a year ago, and she's become an important part of our family. She is smart, intense, protective, and has a high predator-prey impulse. Her nose and hearing are amazing. She also has one of the loveliest howls that Flash and I find endearing. So this leads to tip number 1. Make sure you train with your dog before you start your thru hike. Chances are you'll be focused on your own training for the trip, but it's also important that your dog get used to his or her pack, booties, and the rigors of the trail. We discovered at the start of the trip that Bern's pack was too heavy for her, so we each carried a packet of her dog food, which met with Bern's approval, by the way. Tip number 2. Have a sense of your dog's limitations. For us, we knew the greatest challenge would be to keep Bern cool. She is used to and thrives in colder climates. The huskies we've owned in the past weren't even bothered by 30 below degree temperatures, but heat is a different story. Before we set out for the PCT, we knew we would have to pay special attention to keeping Bern hydrated and cool. We would have to spend longer times in snowy stretches and by streams along the trail. Tip number 3, make sure your dog is permitted on the trail sections you intend to hike. For our hike this summer, Bern was permitted to hike the entire stretch with the exception of the Crater Lake Rim area, and so we had to plan accordingly. Tip number 4, your wishes and desires are secondary to your dog's. When you take a dog on a backpacking trip, it's now their trip. You're just along for the ride. You have to pay special attention to your dog's needs. Sometimes they'll need to rest when it's hot or require special booties or a certain level of comfort at night. You might also have to carry your dog's water on those long dry stretches. Tip number 5, it's a good idea to visit a veterinarian before your dog takes a long-distance hike. Bern received her 5-way shot, and the veterinarian gave us an ointment to use to prevent ticks along the trail. And because Bern is intense, the vet also gave us some tranquilizers to help ease the stress of the long flight. Tip number 6, choose good dog food. We chose a high-protein dog food where the first ingredient listed was meat. It's also a good idea to buy dog food that comes in small kibbles, which makes packing it easier. Some people freeze-dry dog food, which can be pretty expensive. It shouldn't be surprising that your dog is going to eat a lot more on the trail. Tip number 7, bring poop bags. You'll want to practice good trail etiquette with your dog, and that means cleaning up after them. Bern carried her own poop until we came to a place with a trash can or a good location where we could bury her poop. Tip number 8, make sure you're hiking at a place and a time where the temperatures will be moderate to cool. You want to hike in places with plenty of snowbanks or rivers along the way. This year we knew it was going to be a hot year. We started at Cascade Locks in July and headed south. We had plenty of streams and snowbanks for Bern to cool off in, and only one stressful day where we had to go a long distance between water sources. Tip number 9, make sure your dog is properly outfitted. Find a high-quality pack that does not cause abrasions or rubs, and include booties. We settled on a Rough Packs pack for Bern. For the lava stretches in Oregon, we purchased some rubber-soled booties for Bern so her paws wouldn't get torn up. Bern also carried a collapsible dog bowl for water and for food. The sky is the limit on dog gadgets you can purchase for hiking, such as light-up collars, dog ties, cable run lines, beds, sleeping bags, GPS trackers, etc. Make sure what you purchase serves a reasonable purpose. Tip number 10, put together a first aid kit, including the medications your dog is taking, tick ointment, Musher's Secret for lubricating your dog's paws, heartworm pills, blood clot. Bern's first aid kit also included tweezers, tiny scissors, gauze, non-stick bandages, adhesive tape, peroxide, cotton balls, and antibiotic ointment. You should also carry a head net for your dog if you're going through annoying mosquito country. Luckily, we didn't consider the mosquitoes too troublesome in Oregon compared to what we've endured in Alaska. Tip number 11, check your dog every night for any injuries or ticks and act accordingly. Also check your dog's paws in case he or she cut their pads on some sharp rocks or cacti thorns. We like to rub Musher's Secret on Bern's paws at night. Tip number 12, keep your dog on a leash or at heel when hiking. Some people don't enjoy your dog greeting them affectionately or barking at them while you're on the trail. Try not to be that type of backpacker who lets his or her dog run free and bark in camp. That ruins the experience for other hikers. When your dog takes a drink from a creek, have them go downstream of the trail so other hikers might not get annoyed. Since Bern was a retired sled dog, she likes to pull, which was fine on the uphill stretches, but a little disconcerting on the tricky downhill stretches. Bern needed to be on a leash because of her high predator-prey instinct. She loved to pull towards squirrels and discovered deer for the first time, which really got her heart beating. Tip number 13, watch your dog's toenails. The trail will probably keep their toenails filed down, but if your dog sleeps in the tent, as Bern did, you might want to have a plan to protect your sleeping mattress when your dog comes into the tent and when your dog exits the tent. Some people go so far as to carry a dog mattress, a dog sleeping bag, even a dog tent. But Bern was fine without these trail luxuries. She also wanted to sleep with us. So we had to be very careful when she came in so she didn't poke our air mattresses. Tip number 14, if you're arranging a trip with a trail angel or Uber, tell them you have a dog, in case that's something they're opposed to. We found the bus services in places like Timberline Lodge, going to government camp and back, allowed dogs, which was a bonus for us. You might also have to make sure campgrounds and motels allow pets in case you're planning to spend a zero in town. And that can create an additional hassle, so it's best to call ahead. Tip number 15, most importantly, be open to the ways your dog communicates with you. Dogs generally are very stoic. They will hide pain and discomfort. For example, if they're chewing on a water bottle, that probably means they're thirsty. It might mean a tick if they're stopping to scratch a spot or biting a spot on their hide. Bern also pawed Flash on the cheek when she needed to go outside the tent to do her doggy duty. So the bottom line is, taking a dog on a backpacking trip can be stressful. But we discovered taking Bern had some pleasant advantages. Bern was an endless source of entertainment. Flash also said that her focus on ensuring the hike was enjoyable for Bern helped her forget about her own woes and agonies on the trail. We also discovered that once on the trail, Bern thrived and was in her element. She handled blowdowns like a champ, and while they were stressful for us to cross, for her, they were a breeze. Bern also lightened the mood with her pleasant morning howls. She earned the trail name Princess Buttercup. Bern also kept steady watch for mischievous squirrels and mice, which sort of became her job. Well, wild people, as always, thank you for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this episode, please hit the subscribe button. And feel free to offer your advice on hiking with a dog. And so, until we meet again, live wildly, my friends.
Ah!